Colorado defensive coordinator Robert Livingston told us back in March that the Buffs defense will have 7 to 8 new starters, and most of those guys will be transfers. But can any of those guys have an impact like the block bully or maybe even Nikhai Hill-Green? Let's discuss. Let's
Let's go,
squad. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Toyota Lounge. It's the DNVR Buffs Podcast. We are live. It's your boy, Scotty D Pockets, alongside my guy, RK. How we doing, my boy?
Good, man. I like seeing you drive.
I'm
man.
in the driver's seat.
Put him in the driver's seat.
You feel me? I'm trying to get up there, bro. How you feeling today, though? After a weekend,
I feel great. I was telling the guys on the Bronco show this morning, like, remember how the first day of school was always like on like a Thursday or Friday?
Yeah.
Because it's like you just get a little taste, and then you get a weekend, and then you come back on Monday, and now it's really time to go. That was how I was last week. I came back on Thursday, only had one show on Friday, nice little ease in. Now I'm ready to go.
Definitely.
Sad about the Nuggets, but
yeah, I was gonna ask you about that.
I just decided I'm gonna turn all of my free time into just practicing golf. And I'm kind of excited about that.
That's smart.
Yeah, just like now I've got multiple hours a day that were spent either thinking about or watching the Nuggets or, getting here early to save a table. That's just all going to my golf game.
It's a perfect time for it, bro. I'm going to be on that too this summer quite a bit.
Yeah,
we get out there on the links sometime soon. It's going to be fun.
I just found out that you are about that life.
For real. I keep my clubs in the car, bro.
That's a true sign.
I think
ready
so too.
at any moment.
At any moment, bro. Anybody trying to get around it, I'm ready to go. What are your thoughts quickly on the Nuggets here, though? Adelman? What are your thoughts on him being the coach, or do you want to look elsewhere?
It's such a weird thing because I think he did an admirable job.
I think he did too.
An admirable job. But at the same time, it's like now I've kind of seen it, and I like want to see something new and different. I don't know.
Yeah.
To me, the way that I look at it is, and I'm obviously biased, but I actually really do believe this. The Nuggets head coach and GM job is like one of the most desirable positions that has come available in the NBA in a while.
No doubt.
Even, obviously LeBron, gets a new coach like every 2 years. So that's always an exciting and great job for someone. But also, that if you're not winning championships immediately, like you're getting canned.
Period.
With the Nuggets, it's like you're getting the best player in the world, and your job is just to build around them and maximize him. Every coach, every GM should be interested in that. So I'm like, do I want the internal hire? Do I want to try and go swing for the fences with someone bigger? I don't know who that would be, but that's where I'm at.
Yeah, it would have to depend on who's out there, right? I think, like you said, he did a really good job. It seemed like AG, at the very least, Mr. Nugget, was very complimentary of him after the game in his exit interview and wanting him back. But yeah, when you got arguably the best player in the world on your team, that's an attractive job from a head coach perspective, a GM perspective. So it's going to be exciting to see what they do in the front office and kind of see who stays from a rotation standpoint on the team and whatnot.
And here's the other thing, and I've talked about this several times. When your team wins a championship, it's kind of a blessing and a curse. And the curse is that you then know what a championship team looks like.
Exactly.
And from the start of this season, it was like the Nuggets are not a championship team.
For sure.
Now, the way that some of the dominoes have fallen in this playoffs kind of got you re-excited, and I think they honestly should have beat the Thunder in 5. And if that had happened, I would have been saying, like, we're winning the title.
I would have too.
But the roster was so flawed. And it was so poorly constructed around what Jokic needs to maximize himself that it was just like, it never felt like we were going to win the championship.
No, I feel like Jokic's quote after the game yesterday when he was like, when he was asked, did he feel like this was a championship team? He was like, no, we didn't win it. So clearly we're not.
Yeah.
I thought that was telling of what he thought about the team and whatnot. But maybe let's talk some Buffs football here today.
Let's do it.
Let's talk some defense here today. This is kind of sparked by, something that was in my mind recently, right? Talking to Coach Robert Livingston, obviously the Buffs' star defensive coordinator back in March. It was his first appearance of the spring, and he had a quote where he said, we'll have 7 to 8 new starters on defense. And, that's kind of a jarring number.
It is.
Considering you obviously play 11 guys on the field at one time. And 7 to 8 new starters, I would think the returners that he had in mind were probably Arden Walker, obviously DJ McKinney and Preston Hodge.
Sam Okunlola.
Probably Okunlola will be that fourth to make it 7 new guys. Those are new faces, and that's a lot of production you're going to have to replace. Losing your leader in sacks from last year, BJ Green, losing your best interior defensive lineman, both your starting linebackers, losing a Travis Hunter and, your 2 starting safeties. That's a lot of production and experience that this defense is going to have to replace to get back to the level that they were, maybe even exceeded last year, because this defense is really good. Only allowed 23 points per game. Obviously led the conference in sacks. And a lot of those guys, those 7 to 8 new faces on defense, most of those guys, if not all, are going to be transfers. Guys who have transferred in this offseason. 29 transfers have been added to this roster this offseason. I think it was 12 here so far in the spring, 17 in the winter. And again, kind of talking defensively, let's start up front. Defensive line, obviously losing Block Bully. A lot of those guys are returning. We think this is arguably the best, maybe deepest unit on the team, this defensive line. In terms of transfer additions, who are you kind of looking at as the guy to potentially maybe have a Block Bully type impact, but at the very least be somebody who can be counted on as a, down in, down out impact player?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's 3 big names there. Jaheim Otis, Gabriel Lightfoot, Tavian Coleman.
Yeah.
I would be lying if I said that I think that one of them is going to 1-for-1 replace Block Bully.
Right.
And maybe I'm higher on Block Bully because of how bad it was before he got there and the impact that he had.
For sure.
Maybe there's not, because there's not as much room to make up this time around. It's we won't feel as daunting.
That's a good point.
But when he came into the lineup, he immediately changed the run defense
from day one.
And when he was out of the lineup, it looked a lot like the year before. And so I'm worried about that, replacing that production, replacing that impact. With that being said, I have a really, really good feeling about Tavian Coleman. And he's a different player, but I think that he can have a real impact. And people forget he's coming up from a smaller school, but they were legit last year.
Texas State was a really good football team.
Really, I mean, they went toe-to-toe with Arizona State down to the wire.
For sure.
So it's not as though he hasn't played in big games or played, for a good football team. Yeah, if I have to kind of hitch my wagon to one there, it would be Coleman.
I think both are good answers, and I don't think Gabriel Lightfoot can be discounted either, but Jaheim Otis has the most potential. I think he is probably the most talented NFL-ready kind of defensive lineman on this roster. And we talked about him a little bit last week when we talked about ESPN's final ranking of the top 100 transfers this offseason, where he checked in at number 20 overall out of all the transfers in the spring and into winter cycle, 20th overall in this cycle for Jaheim Otis. Started 13 games over his first 2 seasons at Alabama. And we learned, obviously, from this, ESPN report that he had off-season surgeries for shoulder problem and knee problem and ankle issue. And that kind of led to him not playing as much this past year. He was, kind of limited in fall camp, obviously most of the spring as well. And that kind of led to him only playing 17 snaps per game last year before opting to use his red shirt. He still has 2 years of eligibility left, but, Max Olson at ESPN says that he certainly has the size and potential to be an NFL talent. And, you saw that. He started 10 games as a true freshman at Alabama for Nick Saban on that defense. Again, that defense, as usual for Alabama, is usually good, but in that year in particular, they were awesome. They were elite. And Jaheim Otis was a big reason why, for just his push up front. 5 pass breakups is still unbelievable to me for an interior defensive lineman and defensive tackle. And it makes sense when you look at his frame. 6'5", 325 pounds. Dude can put, immediate kind of interior pressure on the quarterback, make plays on the football, even if it's not an interception. So he, I think, has to kind of be the guy that, like you said, not replace the block bully 1-for-1, but 75%, give you 70% of what the block bully did last year. I think Jaheim Otis is more than capable of doing that. And then when you add in, Lightfoot and Tavion Coleman, who I really like as well, I think it's all there for in terms of the personnel.
Well, and I think that Otis, again, if you're looking for someone to be block bully, I just don't think you have the style of player for that. Otis can give you similar snaps at a different style.
For sure.
And I think that's okay. It's just something that the defense is going to have to prepare and be ready for, which obviously Rob Livingston is going to get them that. But Jaheim Otis could certainly be a better pass rusher from the interior.
Yes.
And that's exciting to think about. This is one, though, this was their prized transfer edition. This was their number one guy.
Yep.
And they got a hit here.
Gotcha.
And I think the like you mentioned, the ceiling is so high for Jaheim Otis.
Yeah.
And this is where, like, Warren Sapp is going to, and Domata Peko, the combination of those two guys are going to earn their paycheck they could earn their paycheck on Jaheim Otis alone, turning him and making him his most productive self that he's been so far in his college career.
No doubt about it. It would kind of be like a revelation project. I think it's the right word. Revelation project. I mean, obviously him not playing at all.
Or a reclamation project?
I think that's right. I think that's the right word. I knew revelation didn't sound right. Reclamation project is definitely
It would be a revelation.
Yeah, 100%. Again, him only, playing 17 snaps per game last year, coming to a place like Colorado and potentially developing into the guy that he looked like he could be as a true freshman. That would be a great feather in the cap of, both Warren Sapp and Domata Peko. And you mentioned Warren Sapp. He is a reason why I think I'm really high on Tavion Coleman as well. There was a clip that came out of the spring game where Tavion Coleman made a play and he's coming off to the sideline and Sapp is just giving him love, like, just like saying words, where it's not actually words, but he's just so turned up, proud of him. And you could just see, like, Warren Sapp sees something in Tavion Coleman, and we see it as well. Again, he balled out last year at Texas State on a really good defense. So those guys, I think, are going to help make this Colorado defensive line one of the best in the conference again, and probably help them lead or be near the top of the conference in sacks. But let's move to the second line of the defense.
And just for clarity, we're just talking about additions right now.
Yep.
But Chase brought up Anquan Barnes. Like, it's another person who is going to certainly help. And if he takes another step in his development, which last year he took a big step in his development.
He did.
He takes another step in his development this year, will be a big part of that interior replacement of block bully.
For sure. Yeah, like you said, we're just focusing on the transfer additions this offseason. But, yeah, that defensive line room as a whole with returners, Amari McNeil, he mentioned Anquan Barnes, Tawfiq Thomas coming back as well. This defensive line is really nice. But moving on to the second level of the defense, linebacker, which has been a pretty hot topic this offseason amongst this team, I would say. They added 3 guys as well this offseason at linebacker: Martavius French, Reginald Hughes, Kylan Salter. And again, losing both of your starting linebackers from last year is tough. Nikhai Hill-Green was great last year. Levante Bentley really improved last year. But let's talk about these new additions at linebacker on the other side of this break.
Nice.
Shout out to the squad over at First Bank. Listen, y'all, whether you're on the road or at home or maybe even potentially somewhere in between, First Bank makes banking easy, convenient, and also, most importantly, secure. Their mobile banking app allows you to check balances, pay friends, and manage your money anytime, anywhere. And here's the best part, y'all. Listen to this. Open a new First Bank checking account today, and you could earn $300. $300, y'all. First Bank is all about helping you stay on track. Their tools make it simple to stay in control of your finances without the hassle. So no matter where life takes you, First Bank gives you the freedom to bank how and when it works best for you. So if you're ready for better banking and the chance to earn a little extra, head over to efirstbank.com/bonus. That's efirstbank.com/bonus to open your account. Bank how you want, when you want with First Bank. Certain restrictions and requirements apply. Member FDIC.
Also, shout out to our friends over at Kerr's Lot. I could have chose to be angry after the Nuggets loss.
You could have.
I could have chose a lot of emotions. But you know what I chose? I chose chill.
Smart man.
Chill. And honestly, I try to choose chill in as many situations as I can in this life. And it almost always pays off.
Yeah.
Instead of being angry last night, I chose chill. I had an extra beer here at the DNVR bar, and then I went with Henry and a couple of his friends over to a little golf simulator bar down the road.
Nice.
Continued to choose chill there, and ended up having a good night. And you can do that anytime when you choose chill with our friends over at Kerr's Light. Make the most out of those times when you choose to chill and choose Kerr's Light. You can get Kerr's Light delivered straight to your door by going to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Celebrate responsibly. Kerr's Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Like we mentioned, we're on to the linebackers here. You lose Nikhai Green, you lose Levante Bentley, but you add 3 guys in the transfer portal this offseason. Kylan Salter from TCU, Reginald Hughes from Jacksonville State, Martavius French from UTSA, I believe. 2 guys in French and Hughes' case who have played a lot of football, really productive last year. Kylan Salter hasn't played a ton. He's been kind of marred with injuries the last couple of years at TCU. But what are your thoughts on those 3 additions, and who would be kind of your pick to kind of be the guy to maybe emerge and, again, not have an NHG type impact, but maybe something similar?
Yeah. I think I'll stick with the guy that I've leaned since his addition and since watching his film, and that's Martavius French. I really like his game. He's been really productive.
Very much
He has some of that big hitter ability that NHG had. And I like him a lot. But I have to bring up Kylan Salter because the way that he looked in the spring game
impressive.
Really was one of the few players who changed my view of them in the spring game, especially for the better.
Yeah.
I just didn't know as much about Kylan Salter, and the way that he went out there and balled out was really impressive. So in a room that's looking for someone,
right,
I think anyone has a chance, and Kylan Salter showed me that he might make some noise and get himself in the mix.
For sure. He stood out during that spring game. And again, when there's some uncertainty in that position right now, and like you said, they're looking for a guy. Kylan Salter acquitted himself quite nicely during that April spring game. I love Martavius French. We've talked about him as somebody who led all interior linebackers and tackles for loss last year at UTSA. That's a stat right there. But I think I'm coming around to Reggie Hughes as kind of my guy to, I think, lead this linebacker room here in 2025. Balled out last year at Jacksonville State, broke out 83 tackles, 9.5 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks, was first team all conference, has the size, I think has the edge and the juice to kind of run sideline to sideline, play the pass, as well as he can kind of get downhill and play the run. This is somebody who has played for Lane Kiffin for a couple of seasons, played for Rich Rod at Jacksonville State, who's now back in the Big 12 at West Virginia, now playing for Coach Prime and Robert Livingston. This man has been coached up, a former #1 ranked JUCO recruit. So this guy's been battle-tested. And again, similar to Nikhai Green, who was at Michigan previously and then was at Charlotte and now, went to Colorado before, ended up at Alabama. These guys who kind of come up from a lower level with something to prove for their future potentially in the NFL, or who can they just kind of become as a college football player. I kind of like the makeup, and that includes Martavius French as well, coming up from UTSA. But I like that you mentioned Kylan Salter. There's some players in this room, and it's about, I think, Coach Hart developing these guys throughout the season and just going with who you think gives you the best chance to go out there. I think Kylan Salter could potentially be that guy because I think he has the right edge. And again, he acquitted himself quite nicely during that spring game, and that was kind of impressive, somewhat surprising to see based off, again, him not really playing much at all at TCU.
Yeah, the big thing for me in this room is getting these guys to slow down the game a little bit. And
agreed.
I think it's been one of the big challenges for all of these players who have come in. And I think it's one of the big challenges for a coaching staff anytime players are coming from high school or a slightly lower level, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
It happened with Jalen Wester. I remember talking to some of the coaches last year. I don't know, around this time, actually. It was during a Nuggets playoff game. And they were saying, like, Jay West is so fun. He's so great in the locker room.
Yeah.
We just got to get him to slow down. And I think as a linebacker, especially a playmaking linebacker, you always are trying to shoot gaps and do the, make the big play. One of the things that I thought Nikhai Green did such a good job of last year was not rushing. And honestly, Levante Bentley, after his first few games at Colorado towards the end of the 2023 season and through last season, really did a good job of letting the game come to him as well.
For sure.
And it's sometimes counterintuitive for these guys who just want to go.
Yeah.
But Nikhai Green made a lot of plays at the line of scrimmage because he figured out where the play was going and met it there rather than trying to guess and getting it wrong and allowing a player to bounce it or, cut back.
No doubt. I think it's a good point you bring up about patience at the linebacker because, it's people hear like the word trigger from the linebacker spot. Like you got to trigger, but you only get one opportunity on one play to really do that. And if you miss, if you're too early or if you're too late and you hear the phrase getting caught up in the wash a lot of the times with offensive lineman, defensive lineman, that's something that happens to linebackers who aren't patient, who just go on the first sight and of something they might see of a lineman's movement or whatnot, or maybe even some misdirection. I completely agree. That was the biggest thing I think Nikhai Green did to kind of help improve that linebacker room overall. I think that rubbed off a little bit on Levante Bentley.
Yeah.
And you could tell that it immediately made an impact on Colorado's run defense last year. As soon as he was inserted into the lineup, this became a really good run defense, sans the Kansas teams. But it's going to be important for one of those guys to have that kind of capability and that characteristic as well, whether it be Salter or Hughes or French.
And one thing to say when we talk about replacing Nikhai is, weirdly enough, it's not as important as it was last year. The reason being, several NFL players at the running back position have now left the conference.
Bro, I was actually just thinking about that last week. All them boys are gone. Pretty much.
Yes. No Ollie Gordon, no RJ Harvey, no
Taj
DJ
Brooks.
Giddens, no Devin Neal, no Taj Brooks.
Yeah.
It's crazy
No
how much
Scatterboo.
no Scatterboo. It's crazy how much NFL talent at the running back position was here last year.
Yeah.
And I mean, we talked about it when we went through the schedule like the first time, and all through the season it was like, stop the run, win the game. Stop the run, win the game. It's not like that this year, where you're going to be facing nearly as many teams that want to force the ball to their running backs and kind of build off of their running backs, which I think is a good thing for Colorado, who's super strong in the secondary and is still searching for it a little bit, I think, at the linebacker position.
That's a great point. I think maybe the only, and I actually just saw this today, I didn't really realize that he was returning, but the only kind of standout running back, I think, in my mind is BYU's running back, LJ Martin, who played really good football last year.
Yeah.
He's back again for them, and they're going to count on him offensively quite a bit. But you mentioned, with a lot of those NFL kind of talent running backs headed to the NFL, no longer in the Big 12, I think a lot of these teams are going to put more emphasis on the pass, which is going to put more emphasis on Colorado's secondary, which you mentioned which is pretty elite for the second straight year. Let's go to the cornerbacks room. They added 3 cornerbacks this offseason. Tayon Parks from Illinois State, Noah King, the true freshman from Kansas State, and Makari Vickers, who transferred in from Oklahoma in the winter. And I think that's going to be a fascinating. We talked about it last week a little bit. It's going to be a fascinating battle for kind of that third cornerback spot behind DJ McKinney, behind Preston Hodge. RJ Johnson, who is a returner, is going to be in that mix for that as well. But whether it's Parks or King or Vickers, who's obviously still recovering from a heart surgery a few months ago, one of those guys are probably, if it's not RJ Johnson, is going to be one of those guys is that CB3. Which of those three guys are you looking at?
I think the obvious answer is Tayon Parks, but I'm really excited about Noah King. Really excited about him.
Yeah.
And I don't want to put too much on him right away because he is a freshman. But I think he has a real chance, and he's obviously the exact build of corner that Coach Prime loves. It's very similar to DJ McKinney in that way.
Yeah.
And Tayon Parks is only a little bit smaller.
6'1", 180 for Parks.
Yeah. Whereas Noah King is listed at 6'2", 200.
Yeah.
The thought of being able to go with DJ on one side, Noah on the other, and Preston in the middle, if Noah is able to live up
for sure
to the 4-star rating that he was given and come out and play early, is really exciting.
Yeah, I mean, we know this staff, particularly on the defense side of the ball, is not afraid to play freshmen. It's not afraid to play young guys. And Noah King obviously has a spring under his belt over there at Kansas State. He's coming over here to prove something, I would say. But I think Tayon Parks, kind of similar to Otis, but not as much on that level. I think they kind of need him to hit. You know what I'm saying? This is a guy with Tayon Parks who led the Missouri Valley Conference in pass breakups last season, had 11 of them things at Illinois State. We mentioned his size, 6'1", 180. He has ball skills. He has some edge to him, too. He can play some press, although I think he is more of a better kind of zone kind of corner, but that might have just been a reflection of the philosophy of Illinois State's defense last year. But I think Parks has to kind of be that guy. And if not, I'm confident in Noah King and his development, and Coach Mathis and Coach Prime and Coach Livingston's ability to continue to help develop these guys. And Makari Vickers can't be discounted either. Like, this is an Oklahoma transfer. Obviously, we know about the heart surgery situation. Coach Kevin Mathis told us during the spring that, he kind of expects Makari Vickers to be ready to go, when fall camp rolls around. So that's exciting. But I think this cornerback room in general, they're going to have some guys to lean on in terms of experience, with DJ McKinney getting a lot of experience the last 2 seasons, Preston Hodge being a true vet. We love RJ Johnson as DQ, the biggest mentions here. He would probably be my pick. But of these new guys, Tayon Parks cannot be discounted. And Noah King is a young guy who I think the fan base should be really, really excited about. Because, again, we talked about it last week. If he would have just committed to Colorado out of high school, people would be really excited about that 4-star talent. Like you mentioned, 6'2", 200 pounds, the ability to play corner and safety. He said he's going to play corner here for the Buffs. So Noah King is somebody you can't forget about at all.
Not forgetting RJ Johnson, just talking about newcomers.
Exactly. For sure. That's why.
But RJ Johnson obviously has a great chance to take that starting spot as well.
No doubt about it. Let's move to the last level is defense, safeties. Right? You lose Shiloh Sanders. You lose the Shark Cameron Suman-Craig, but potentially get a Shark 2.0 in Tawfiq Bayard, the USF transfer safety. Also added John Slaughter, who has an elite name, the Tennessee transfer safety, and Terrence Love, the Auburn safety. A couple SEC transfers along with Tawfiq Bayard, who all indications are early is that Bayard is a ball player. I talked to Cameron Suman-Craig a couple months ago when he called him a dog, said that he sees a lot of his game in Tawfiq Bayard, and Tawfiq balled out during the spring game as well. He might have been the most impressive, I think, defender on the football field during that April spring game for Colorado. So I think Bayard is a day one starter. But those other two guys, Slaughter and Love, coming from the SEC, I think they can provide some real solid depth and potentially be called on to play/start if need be. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, Tawfiq Bayard is going to be atop anyone's list of really all the transfers of who they're most excited about.
Yeah.
The entire pipeline there of him wanting to follow in the footsteps of Cam Suman-Craig makes you even more excited about him. He looked great in the spring game. He has garnered a lot of praise from his coaches.
Yeah.
He's awesome. But safety depth, I feel like, has been something that this staff has been working on for a while now. And I feel like it's probably the best, or up there with the best it's been. Last year, obviously, you lose Cam during the North Dakota State game. Mm-hmm. You felt it heavily.
Immediately.
You lost Shiloh for a couple of weeks. I thought Carter Stoutminer came in and did a good job.
Yeah.
But now I feel like you put in Slaughter, you put in Love, in addition to the guys that you already have on the roster, you feel good about it. Yeah.
Feel good about that. You mentioned some of the returners. Carter Stoutminer, probably be a projected starter. Our guy, Ben Finiseth, put on scholarship this spring.
Yep.
He'll probably play a role in that secondary as well. So you feel pretty solid about that. But we'll continue this conversation a little bit on the secondary on the other side of this break. You want to tell the people about our homies over at Lucy Nicotine?
Man, Lucy Nicotine, another thing that helped me choose chill yesterday. 100% pure nicotine, always tobacco free. Actually, some people feel like they get a little extra energy from it. Some people feel like they get a little extra relaxed. For me, it's definitely a relaxation thing. I like to get home after a long day of work, go out onto my patio, maybe crack a Coors Light,
Definitely,
and throw in a Lucy. These things are awesome flavors. I love the mint and espresso. Jake, our guy, loves the mango. There's so many options of good flavors. And they even have the Lucy Breakers, which aren't my go-to, but some people really, really love them. They have an extra kind of burst of flavor in them when you're looking for it. Regardless of which flavor, which amount of nicotine you go with, check it out. If you're into nicotine pouches, you got to try out our friends over at Lucy. Go to lucy.co/DNVR and use code DNVR to get 20% off your first order. And they even have a 30-day refund policy if you change your mind. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine, and nicotine is an addictive chemical.
And shout out to our good friends, the squad over at Raising Cane's, man. Boy, do I love me some Raising Cane's, man. Do y'all need flavor fast? We'll order at raisingcanes.com or on the Cane's mobile app, where every chicken finger is hand battered and cooked to order, man. Their chicken fingers are so fire. You know, whether you put it on a sandwich with the bread or just, dunk it in a sauce, they're delicious Cane sauce. Cane's is always a hit. Every crinkle cut fry is crispy and perfectly salted. Every Texas toast is buttered to perfection. And every bite isn't complete without craveable Cane sauce. Are y'all hungry yet? Let me know something.
I am.
Same, bro. Actually, I know you are.
I'm starving.
Them beef sticks ain't doing for you earlier, bro. Chill. Dive into flavor Flav's faves. It's Cane's o'clock, y'all. Time to dig in. Raising Cane's chicken fingers. One love.
One love.
One love. But yeah, I think that is 12 spring transfer portal additions. Again, in the spring, 29 in total this offseason. How do you feel about just kind of the entire haul at this point as we sit here on May 19th?
All comes back to the golf balls, right?
Sure does.
These guys go out, you bring them in, you try to fill up the bowl a little bit more. And I think they did that. Obviously, the big question, I mean, everywhere I go, anytime I see anyone, whatever it is, it's always, how are they going to replace Travis and Shedeur? And that is the biggest question. And the answer is they're not. But the other answer that I always tell everyone is I think the overall roster is the best it's been in the Coach Prime era. If you're talking about like the average rating of a player that's going to play, it's the highest it's been.
I agree.
Travis and Shedeur both being like 99 caliber players changes things.
For sure.
But I think you're going to see a more well-rounded team, and I think the transfers did a good job of filling in areas of need.
For sure. You just didn't have to go as hard, I think, as you had to go last offseason, right? You have more of a talent base kind of on this roster, on this team here this season, and you can kind of focus in on guys who you think really fit, puzzle pieces, guys who you can really think you fit kind of on this defense here in 2025. You don't have to just, for lack of a better word, just take anybody. You can really lock in on guys who have production or guys who have potential, who maybe you haven't gotten played. So that's good stuff. I like where this offseason has kind of gone from a transfer portal addition perspective. One of the guys that we talked about or briefly mentioned as a returner is getting some love 2026 NFL draft. That's DJ McKinney, PFF College, put out today top 10 cornerbacks to know in the 2026 NFL draft. And DJ McKinney was the second guy they mentioned behind Avion Terrell from Clemson. Who was one of the best cornerbacks in
AJ
college
Terrell's younger brother?
Has to be, right?
Right.
Has to be.
Same school and everything.
For sure. So, DJ McKinney has everything in front of him this season in terms of being a top 3 round draft pick, around this time next year.
Yeah,
He's
and I mean,
the buzz.
Early mock drafts are already putting him in the first round.
Yeah.
When he set foot on campus, Coach Prime told him, "You are a first-round player. You just got to do all the right things."
He said that early.
Right away.
Yeah.
Like the first day he saw him.
That's true.
He looked at him and said, "You're a first-round player. You have everything you need to be a first-round player." For DJ, it's all about realizing that there is no resting on your laurels.
100%.
Everything that you do from now until the day you get drafted has to be pedal to the metal. And no one's going to be better at articulating that to him than Deion Sanders himself.
Yeah.
Coach Prime. So the sky is the limit. I mean, it truly is. And in really all things in life, but especially in this case, you are going to get out what you put in. And I think DJ has what it takes to take his mindset to the next level and really turn it up. And I talked to him briefly at Pro Day.
Nice.
And he was just so ready. He sounded so ready. I'm
Yeah.
like, this is going to be you one day. He's like, yep, next year.
Period.
Like, I'm ready.
Period.
And I believe him. So I'm excited to see what he brings to the table.
He has stuff he has to work on. He knows that. His coaches know that. And he is in a spot where he is going to be able to continue to grow and develop, learning under Coach Mathis, learning under Coach Prime, having learned under Travis last year and, seeing how he goes about it day by day, pedal to the metal like you were just talking about every day, because this time next year, his life could be completely different for the better if he handles his business this season and does what we all know he's capable of. But shout out to DJ. I'm excited to see what he does this fall for the Buffs secondary. But into some recruiting news, we did get some recruiting news just a little bit this weekend. This actually came out today. A local guy from Denver, Kent. You know where that's at?
It's Kent, Denver, yes.
Oh, okay. My fault.
But yeah.
Offensive lineman at 3-star. His name is Trip Skews. Finalized his official
Crazy
visit
name.
schedule. That is a fire name, right?
Yeah.
Trip Skews.
Honestly, sounds like could be like a rapper or like
Swear.
it's a sick name.
For real, for real. He has visits scheduled to ACC, SEC, and Big 12 schools. He has locked in an official visit to Colorado on June 16th. So Trip Skews, again, a 3-star offensive lineman from right here in Colorado. 6'7", 300 pounds is what he's listed at. Has offers from K-State, Vanderbilt, Bill Belichick, North Carolina, Texas Tech. So this is a highly kind of coveted offensive lineman here in this 2026 class. So keep an eye on Trip Skews. Clearly, this staff,
Sound the alarms, baby. Trip Skews is coming.
No doubt. So yeah, Trip Skews will be in Colorado June 16th. There's another one that just came out this weekend as well, a cornerback, Maurice Williams. He is actually currently committed to Liberty. And Maurice Williams, again, I believe he's a 3-star corner. Oh, let me just find this real quick. 3-star cornerback, yeah, committed to Liberty. He's from New Orleans, which Liberty's in Louisiana, ain't it?
No.
Where's Liberty at?
Liberty is in Virginia, I believe.
Yeah, Dion? For sure. Okay, my bad. But yeah, committed to Liberty, 3-star cornerback. Has okay, for sure. Offers from Georgia Tech, Arkansas State, Florida A&M. 3-star, 5'10", listed at 160 pounds. So this is kind of a guy on the lighter side of things in this 2026 class as well. But he just picked up an offer from Colorado. Or is he visiting? Let's see. Yeah, he is visiting in June as well.
Nice.
With Trip Skews. So he will be on campus, and the Buffs will try to flip him from Liberty, flip him from the Fighting Preston Hodges. And he would be a nice kind of add for the future of this secondary here moving forward.
Fighting Caden Salters too.
Facts. And then kind of the last kind of bit of recruiting news from this weekend. Got another visitor actually coming this week, Wednesday, a transfer, not a recruited transfer, an offensive lineman transfer. His name is Walker Anderson. He is a UCLA transfer. He's listed at 6'5", 290 pounds, but his representation at Snag City Agency has said multiple times that he is 6'8", actually.
What?
His agency is saying that he is 6'8", 330 pounds.
And he's listed at 6'5"?
Listed at 6'5". So
honestly, low key to his agency, 6'8" might be too tall.
And he's an interior offensive lineman as well. So he was playing guard as a true freshman at UCLA.
Yeah,
he obviously redshirted, so he has all 4 years of eligibility left. But he is scheduled to visit Colorado this week. He'll be in Boulder on Wednesday, actually. So an offensive lineman, 4 years of eligibility left, coming over from UCLA. Again, he'll be in Colorado for a visit on Wednesday.
Let's go to Snack City. Bring him into studio. Yeah. We'll get the tape measure out. We'll do it live. We'll settle this once and for all.
That'd be hilarious. But yeah, I just like that this recruiting staff is keeping the pedal to the metal on the offensive line, because that's what you got to do.
Yes,
that's what the best programs do. Again, whether it's transfers, whether it's recruits, whether it's continuing to develop your own guys who you have in your own building. That is the quickest way to success in college football. It's having a dominant offensive line and being dominant in the trenches, no doubt, both ways. 100%.
And honestly, like, credit to the players who are signing up to come here, because it's getting crowded in that offensive line room. Like, they might legitimately be running out of desks in the offensive line room.
For real, bro. We were talking about it last week. Like, Coach Prime said he wants to rotate 8 guys on the offensive line, and we kind of rattled the names off last week. You feel pretty good about 8 to 10 guys, in my opinion, at least. For sure, 5 guys on the starting offensive line, but I think the depth is something that just we haven't really seen in the Coach Prime era here at Colorado, and that is an encouraging sight. Kind of more onto some other kind of side quasi recruiting stuff. Remember our guy DQ Forkba, IMG 4-star linebacker,
yes,
who visited Colorado a couple weekends ago. He actually this weekend won the linebacker MVP at the Rivals camp in Atlanta.
Fire.
A demon. And actually, Aiden Sen, who covers the Michigan Wolverines, quote retweeted that post of DQ winning the linebacker MVP and mentions Colorado and Florida as schools that are among his top options right now. Obviously in the mix with Michigan, but we talked about it. Linebacker is a position that this recruiting staff wants to continue to target from the high school ranks as well. DQ Forkba was already here on campus for an official visit. And 2 to 3 weeks after that, he's at least telling people that he's talking to on the Michigan beat that Colorado is among his top schools. So
that's big.
That is massive.
This is we talked about this last week, but this is a position where a breakthrough would be nice.
Be really nice, especially a breakthrough in the form of DQ Forkba, because dude, he just screams future NFL linebacker.
Yeah,
his build is crazy, and then coming from IMG, he's going to be ready to play right away. Last kind of piece of maybe news, team related. Brandon Hood, former Colorado running back, has found a new home. He announced yesterday that he is transferring to UMass out there on the East Coast. So Brandon and Colton won't be playing with each other. Obviously, Colton is at Tennessee. Brandon is now at UMass. But the Hood brothers have both found homes, new homes here now. And, Brandon Hood's out there at UMass.
So is this conversation in play? Fair game?
I'm down for whatever, bro.
Well, I mean, the immediate thought goes back to what Colton said when he left, which is like, I came here to play with my brother. So I guess my question is, was it kind of like once they weren't going to play together at Colorado, it was like, okay, well then I can go up to a higher level? It was like, is that kind of how you read this?
I'm kind of more so reading it as they just didn't like how Colorado handled the situation. I feel like they might have thought that there was a better way that the recruiting staff could have went about it.
Okay.
And I just think that they were just turned off from how it just played out with them ostensibly not wanting Brandon Hood, at least on scholarship. And I guess that kind of rubbed them the wrong way, and they were like, we're just done with Colorado. And it wasn't because that they wanted to play together, but it was just that they probably kind of fell out of love, for lack of a better word, with the coaching staff, recruiting staff, and kind of how they played that situation. But it is a bit head-scratching that, you know, like you mentioned, Colton comes out and says, I came here to play with my brother. And if I can't do that, I'm gone.
Yeah.
And then he goes elsewhere, not with his brother. Right?
Yeah, and that's where I come to, because it's like it feels like they certainly could have found a place that would have taken them both.
You would think, bro.
But I don't want to, like, I truly mean it when I say I wish all the best for these guys, and Brandon Hood is no different.
No doubt.
Just because we're having the conversation, though, is Colorado a little bit vindicated in their decision when it comes to Brandon Hood that he ended up at UMass?
I think that's really the only conclusion you can come to. You know what I'm saying? If clearly it's come out that they didn't, again, not necessarily they didn't want Brandon Hood, but they weren't willing to put him on scholarship. And you end up at a school like UMass, I think, to your point, kind of validates at least their scouting of Brandon Hood, I think, in a lot of people's minds.
Again, and that's not a shot at Brandon Hood. It's just us having the conversation about how we ended up where we are now, which is that neither of the Hoods are at Colorado, and none of them actually. And Colton's at Tennessee, which hurts.
Yeah.
And Brandon's at UMass. It's just unfortunate. It's unfortunate, kind of the way it all went down. I'll be rooting for him. That's for sure.
So will I, man. Both of those guys. On to some NFL buffs, because you know we got to check in our NFL buffs here now and then. Shedeur obviously had the NFL rookie premiere, which obviously Travis was out as well. But talking about Shedeur specifically here, with his 12 jersey, he had a quote come out this weekend where he says, "Don't call me 2 anymore. Call me 12." He was like, "You're disrespecting me now if you call me 2, because that's not my name no more." What are your thoughts on that?
Is that definitive? Like, do you think that means even if whatever the guy's name is who has number 2 gets cut, he's sticking with 12?
It seems that way. It seems that to me that Shedeur is bought all the way into number 12.
That's the way I read it too.
Yeah.
Which is I don't know. Like I said, it looked natural on him.
100%.
First time I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, that he's gonna rock that number.
Yes. It just fit, man. It really did. And again, I think it also helps, Shedeur, that he's not tripping about the number thing.
Yeah.
And I don't think he ever would anyway, but it's just another reason another piece of evidence that he has handled everything since the day he got drafted by the Browns perfectly.
Yep.
As perfect as you could have imagined a guy in his perspective or his place could have handled it. And this is just another reason for it. I'm excited to see him. And again, he balled out in rookie minicamp. He's embracing number 12. It seems like Cleveland is embracing him quite a bit as well, which is cool to see. So I just can't wait for the ball to really start and for people to separate themselves, because Shedeur is going to separate himself from the rest of the dudes in that room.
I saw another Cleveland media person today coming around on Shedeur, like not coming around is maybe the wrong word, but like learning what we know about Shedeur. Yeah. He's like, he has that something about him. He's, he's so tough. And I'm like, yep, you're learning. You're figuring it out right before our eyes.
Welcome to the club, buddy. And then obviously our guy Travis Hunter is already out there with, kind of the Jags kind of vets, catching passes from Trevor Lawrence, already out there running routes. I think we got a clip here of Trevor Lawrence just from today, talking about his first impressions of working with Travis Hunter, the Heisman Trophy winner. Let's hear from T-Law right here.
Travis Hunter, I mean, I know you haven't seen a ton of him just yet.
Yeah, got a lot of juice. Like he can run all day, a lot of energy. I love it. Good energy. always dapping guys up, just bringing juice every day. And like I said, high motor, can just go. It's like a kid, just runs around all day. He doesn't get tired, it seems like. So you can't have enough of that. And then as far as just talent, I mean, kind of speaks for itself. Ball skills, run after the catch. He's very explosive. Just didn't realize how explosive he was in and out of cuts. You know, he's impressive to watch, and we've gotten to connect a couple times. It's only going to keep getting better and better. You know, we've only worked together for a couple days now, so we got some time to really dial in on the details.
When it comes to building relationship with receivers, how difficult is that going to be with him splitting time, corner, wide receiver? Is that going to be a challenge?
Yeah, I mean, you work around all that. You get as many reps as you can. You talk as much as possible, you know, not just out here, but yeah, out here after reps, after 7-on-7 team reps. If I see how he did something, I think he can do it a little different, or if he likes to do things a certain way, he can kind of voice that to me. You know, both of those things. And then in the building, you know, in the meeting room, watching tape, installing, talking about kind of what I'm looking for, what coaches are looking for on certain concepts, just to get him up to speed, because obviously he's learning a new system and he's super talented, really smart, but it takes some time to learn the system. So we're trying to just get him up to speed, and so he can go and play fast and free and not have to think about it.
You laughing at the comments?
T-Law know what's up, man.
T-Law, I can't say I watched many of his press conferences, but he looks really comfortable there.
Yeah. He's confident. He's been in the spotlight for, you know, since a true freshman at Clemson.
Yep.
Right?
It's true. Speaking, though, of people learning what we know, Travis Hunter never gets tired. Yep.
Juice. Yep. Checks out.
Just wait until your guys' first, like, conditioning or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
When everyone is huffing and puffing.
Hands on knees.
Reaching for the water.
Yep.
And Travis Hunter is still, like,
and
hitting the Dougie on the sideline after he just ran sprints. He's literally, I think he was born without the part of his brain that tells you you're fatigued.
I can see it, bro. And it's just going to just wait until Trevor and Travis. That just doesn't have a ring to it, though, too. Trevor to Travis.
Yep.
Trevor to Travis got a ring to it. But wait till they get their timing down and they get a real rapport down, similar to what Shedeur and Travis had. It's going to be scary. And with Brian Thomas Jr. on the other side, that offense is going to be scary. It's a damn shame. We talked about it a little bit last week, but it's a damn shame that they only have one primetime game this year. I know. Because a lot of the NFL just isn't going to be able to see him unless, you know, you got NFL Sunday ticket or you live local to Jacksonville. But I heard somebody bring this up, and I think it's a valid point. Week 10, Jacksonville goes to Houston for, of course, a 1:00 game. Texans are obviously a good team, back-to-back playoff appearances. I could see that game getting flexed to like a primetime Sunday night game, assuming, you know, Jacksonville looks
potential division
right, could have
yeah.
Exactly division winner, maybe playoff implications. I can see that Week 10 matchup with the Texans potentially getting flexed from 1:00 to maybe Sunday night, because I think the Sunday night game that week is like Chargers Steelers, and it's like, come on, what are we doing? I don't know why the Steelers should be on Sunday night any week this year, but
Trevor and Travis from the comments, TNT.
Put that on a shirt.
Actual fire.
That's it. That's it for sure.
Actual fire.
Oh man, that's lit. I think that's all I got today, though.
Well, just quickly, I think I cannot remember who put it out. It might have been PFF. They put out a graphic of like all of Travis Hunter's matchups. Mm-hmm. It was kind of silly, to be honest. But they put out like Travis Hunter, all of the CB ones he's going to match up with, and then all of the wide receiver ones he's going to match up with. And the BTJ disrespect is crazy.
It is.
And that's what's so cool for Travis in this landing spot.
Yep.
Is he's not drawing CB1, at least not early. Early on, he's definitely getting CB2.
Yeah.
And you're going to run into some teams in the NFL who do not have a CB2.
Nope. I mean, we were just talking about the Broncos before the show, right? I mean, we think, you know, Riley Moss is a good player, but, you know, imagine a Riley Moss, you know, a CB2 or maybe in the CB3 on some people's teams having to draw that type of matchup.
Yeah.
That's a scary proposition for opponents. For
I'm not taking that Riley Moss bait, but like look what happened to the Broncos like when they lost Riley Moss.
Yeah.
And that's going to happen all over the league. Like they had to put Levi Wallace out there against Jerry Jeudy, and it was
barbecue
practice, chicken. You know? So that's what's so exciting for Travis is He is gonna draw some really tough matchups on the defensive side of the ball. He's built for that. And then on the offensive side of the ball, he's gonna get some really favorable matchups.
One last thing on Shedeur. I saw this from good old ESPN Cleveland this morning. They're on the radio show. Of the 4 Browns quarterbacks, give a % chance that each starts week 1. Tony Grossi, who Buffalo's fans have become familiar with over the last couple of weeks.
Which I don't think Cleveland fans claim him either.
That's what I'm starting to notice as well.
He's there, you know who.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get that person free pub, but you know who I'm talking about.
But Grossi gives Joe Flacco a 45% chance to start week 1. Kenny Pickett a 40% chance to start week 1. And Shedeur and Dylan Gabriel each a 7.5% chance.
Oh, give me a break, bro.
Thoughts? Or what percentage would you put on it? Shedeur to start week 1.
50%.
Yeah, man. I think that's the right answer.
I'd put Flacco at 30. I'd put Pickett at 10. Actually, I put Pickett at 15 and Gabriel at 5. You know, maybe I'm just putting Pickett at 20 and Gabriel at 0.
But I was going to say, I'd put Pickett at 0.
You put Pickett at 0?
He's not going to start week 1. He's not going to start over Joe Flacco over week 1. And he's not going to start over either of those rookies week 1. I don't think that's happening. Kenny Pickett isn't a starter in this league. We've learned that from getting traded from Pittsburgh, sitting behind Jalen Hurts last year in Philly. He's not a starter anymore.
But people with knowledge of the Browns are putting him. Some of them are putting him over Joe Flacco.
I think a lot of people with knowledge of the Browns, they don't have a lot of knowledge. So it's just, you know what I'm saying? They're thinking about, they traded for Kenny Pickett. And, but that doesn't really matter once football starts and you have 4 dudes in the room and you have practice clips and, 7-on-7 and red zone and team sessions to kind of grade.
Yeah. The one thing that I think is being heavily overlooked here is how washed Joe Flacco looked last year.
Thank you.
Like,
he was good in 2023.
He was really good in 2023 with the Browns.
Yes.
But he's 40 years old. Like, when guys get this age, sometimes there's just like a steep drop off. And I don't know if I've ever seen a guy drop off at this age and then bounce back. Like, usually once you drop off, it's just a free fall to retirement.
It don't usually go like this.
No, it doesn't. So I fear that Joe Flacco doesn't have anything left in the tank.
Another thing I just thought about too with Flacco, people like to talk about Shedeur's mobility, or in some people's eyes, lack thereof. Flacco, is a literal statue in the pocket at 40 years old.
Yep.
There is no mobility.
He was a statue at 25.
Good point. You know what I'm saying? There is no ad-libbing, extending plays with Joe Flacco. So that is something that Kenny Pickett could potentially give you, but Shedeur obviously can. And I saw some people call Dylan Gabriel a dual threat over the weekend. And that goes to my point where I'm like, a lot of people with knowledge of Cleveland don't actually have knowledge. You know what I'm saying?
What I realize a lot of times about the NFL is that these NFL people don't watch college football.
They don't.
And I'm just like, what are you guys?
I kind of get it because there's a lot of NFL football to watch, but
not on Saturdays.
True. It's true.
What are these people doing on Saturday?
I don't know, bro.
Because all of the things that people are now saying about Shedeur are all things that anyone who watched him and weren't wearing hater glasses already knew about him.
I can't wait, bro.
Can't wait either. But I think I said this. I talked to a Cleveland radio person moments after they drafted him. I said, Shedeur, in a all things equal competition, which isn't always the case in the NFL, and I don't know what's going on in Cleveland and the politics that are at play. And in all things equal competition, Shedeur will start week 1.
I agree, bro. And a lot of people have brought up the fact that like Shedeur has to make up ground, right? From being the 5th round pick to, surpassing a guy who was taken 2 rounds ahead of him, surpassing a guy like Flacco who was brought in ostensibly to be the starter. It really helped, and this is kind of obvious, but it really helped that he left rookie minicamp wowing folks as like arguably from some people's perspective the best player there at rookie minicamp. So that I think kind of helps him not have to make up a ton of more ground. I think he's going to be starting a little bit ahead of where he might have been if he just kind of had a so-so rookie mini camp. But it's going to be interesting to watch. We got to hit overtime here real quick. For those who are watching us on television, go check out the rest of the conversation on DNVR.com. But, yeah.
Hit these super chats.
Talk to us, chat. Make sure you send us a chat. Hit us a super chat. Hit the like button as well. We got DJ Flame talking to us. $9.99 super chat from DJ Flame. We appreciate you, big dog. He goes, "What's up, Jen?" Says, a sports guy, I want to be clear. The way the refs officiated Jokic yesterday was unacceptable. Allowing Caruso to openly foul Jokic, but since he's smaller, not call fouls is wrong. I think I'm going to take a guess and say you agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, credit to me. Haven't brought this up once. But I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's the way the Jokic is officiated is actually crazy. And it's not just him. It's the same thing has happened with LeBron when he was in his prime. Like,
all the greats got to go through something like this.
Yes. Well, and it's just, I feel as though he doesn't get the superstar whistle. People who are rooting against him feel like he does. That's just classic. But allow a smaller guy to just like do whatever they want the whole game is crazy.
I do kind of push back on the idea that like people just like Alex Caruso was like an all NBA defender.
Definitely.
Like, one of the best defenders in the NBA regardless of size. Mm-hmm. He obviously got away with quite a bit yesterday, but that just is such his life when you give up damn near a foot and I don't even know, damn near 100 pounds. Probably not quite, but close to it.
The reaching that they just let Oklahoma City get away with overall is crazy.
For sure, man.
I mean, the play where Shea took the elbow and drew the flagrant on AG. I mean, he hit AG in the face like 2 times before he even turned his elbow. They just let those guys do whatever they want with their hands.
Who's your pick right now? Who you to win it all?
Who do I want?
No.
Who do I think?
Yes.
I kind of think it's probably OKC, but man, they really should have lost to the Nuggets in 5 games. Nuggets had 8-point leads going into the fourth quarter in games 4 and 5 to end the series.
But you could kind of argue too that
they should have won game 1.
Yeah, the Gordon, game winner pretty much. They kind of stole that one too, but
they did. But I'm just saying, like,
it's valid.
I don't know if they're ready for it quite yet. I want the Knicks.
That would be insane.
Yeah.
That would be crazy.
I wanted Nuggets Knicks final so bad because I was like, I won my first time ever going to MSG. Nuggets Knicks finals. Like,
you would have slid, bro?
I don't know if I would have been able to afford it right after my wedding, but I would have had to heavily consider.
Hit up Game Time to see what was popping for sure.
But yeah, I think the Knicks making the finals will be sick.
I agree. I think they got a good chance. I mean, I don't think anybody's picking the Pacers really to win that series, so they got a chance.
But the best player in the playoffs remaining, maybe this is a hot take, but is Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, I think it's hard to argue against that. There is an argument for some other guys, but
I guess I'll open this by saying I do respect Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's game.
But
I left that series being like, that's it? Like, I just thought, I don't know. I would play against Shai before playing against Ant any day of the week.
I mean, well, with the foul thing though, people might be like, actually, I'd rather play against Ant because he's not gonna have the crazy whistle. But
Ant scares the hell out of me.
Yeah, and he don't give a damn.
No, man, he's different. But Shai's like amazing. He just doesn't put that fear into me like a lot of great players do.
Yeah, no, I hear you for sure. Another super chat here from our guy Don Peasy. $5. Appreciate you, Don Peasy. Goes, giving Sunshine an explosive weapon. Sunshine is, of course, Trevor Lawrence. An explosive weapon like Travis will make the Jags must-watch TV. Hashtag TNT. Fire.
Maybe TNT needs to get some primetime football games so they can throw them on there.
No, for real. Good stuff, y'all. Make sure y'all hit that like button, if you haven't already. We'll be back tomorrow, but this was a fun one.
This was a fun one. Appreciate you driving, bro. We got here safe.
Pretty fun, bro.
Oh, let's go. Last one from Don Peasy.
Another super chat from Don Peasy. $10. Appreciate you, big dog. He goes, most oxymoronic phrases sports might be insiders with inside knowledge of Cleveland quarterbacks. Cleveland wouldn't know a quarterback if Tom Brady was on the roster. I pray they turn the corner and see Shedeur as QB1.
They will.
Preach.
They will.
Ooh, and Hilla, you got the Pacers winning in 6? Okay.
Maybe the Pacers have just been slept on all along.
Maybe.
They
back-to-back conference finals? Like,
they worked the Cavs, too.
the number 1 seed, bro.
Yeah.
That was pretty jarring.
All right.
See y'all tomorrow.
Let's go Buffs.
We all silly like the mayor.